So let's get into what you do, man.
Yeah, so we build marketing systems. So the company's name is Scaling with Systems, and we build a lot of different systems for a lot of different companies. But our primary thing is we build end-to-end marketing systems for mostly coaches, agencies, course creators, online service providers, like the e-learning online service-based business.
Nice. And how'd you get into that?
When I was like whole life wanted to be a lawyer. That was like the whole, I know you said you're like part
Yeah,
Chinese,
yeah, yeah.
I'm part
Indian.
Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it was like law school, you're an engineer, you're a doctor. And so I just chose law school because it had like a lot of the least amount of work it seemed like at the time.
Really?
Yeah. And it's super ironic. That was like my whole life goal. And then I was coming to graduate college and I was speaking to a law school consultant and he's like, look, number one thing that determines how much money you make after college is, as a lawyer, is what law school you go to.
Mm.
And the number one thing that determines what law school you go to is what you make on your LSAT, your law school admission test. So he said, this is the most important test of your entire life.
Wow.
So I decided, okay, I'm going to take a year and study for this test. And after I graduated, about like a week or two in, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer.
Damn.
So I kind of like was like, oh, it threw me for a loop. I moved into Atlanta, Georgia with him and started doing chemo and radiation with him 5 days a week. And it was just during this like time that I kind of started realizing like it just kind of forced me to pump the brakes and be like, okay, up until now, I wanted to be a lawyer just because everybody else told me that I should be a lawyer. I'd never really done some thinking for myself.
Yeah.
And so when I was like in the chemo and radiation room with him, like talking to these other people that were like 30, 35 years old, they thought they had their whole life ahead of them. And all of a sudden they're just wrecked with this disease. I kind of realized like maybe this isn't what I want to do. And so I ended up taking the test because I had spent virtually my entire like young adult life studying for it and preparing for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into actually my dream schools. I scored in the top 10% of test takers in the nation, but came downstairs and just told my dad, like, I don't want to go to law school. I don't know what I want to do. I want to go to law school. That kind of started a little riff in our relationship because he thought I was throwing my life away. But I ended up working in an Italian restaurant and making like $2,000 a month. And then which is pretty funny if you think about it, because I was literally going to go to a top law school and then like make it 180 to 200 grand a year coming out, and here I am working at it. So my family, whenever people would ask, like, what is Ravi doing? They'd be like, he's taking a break right now. Like they were like embarrassed to say what I was doing. And around that time, I got hit with like we were talking about a second ago, Tai Lopez. I got hit with his SMMA.
Classic.
Yeah, of course. Right? And this was back when like this wasn't really a big thing, you know? And so I would like watch his webinars or his stories, and then I would like literally screenshot the people that were testimonials, and I would go like Sherlock Holmes, find them online, message them, get on calls with them, like, is it true you're making 10,000? At that time just seemed like the most money that you could ever make in the world. And they're like, yeah, it's true. And so ended up literally, I was already a few $1,000s in debt from being with my dad. And so I ended up buying the course, started my first advertising agency, scaled that relatively quickly, and then ended up absolutely hating the agency world and that life. And it wasn't very leveraged, but we did decently well. And so a lot of people were asking me like, hey, how did you scale this? And I was living the 4-hour work week. So I was living in Medellin, Colombia. I was living in Spain. People were like, how did you like make this all happen? We both bought this course at the same time and you did this. I was like, I just kind of put some systems in place. I had these VAs doing cold email for me, and I did this like master campaign in Facebook ads. I copy and pasted for all of our clients. And so I was like, if I pay you some money, can you just like show me how to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And that was like my first ever client that I got in like the kind of done for you consulting, building marketing systems. And it was like immediately I knew that it was what I was meant to do for definitely what I'm doing right now will be some form of what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, probably just with more layers of leverage to it.
Amazing.
And that was 4 years ago. And yeah, so we're 1,800 clients later. Here we are.
$25 million later. Here we are.
Exactly.
Insane, man.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, and you're all about systems, right? So you teach people basically how to get organized, more optimized.
Exactly. Yeah, both like most, like I said, most businesses, in my experience, their number one issue is either their offer or their marketing. That's like most people are just like, I need more leads. But then I'd say like 10 to 20% of our clients also have like operational issues. So like they don't have an organizational chart, responsibilities. They don't have like systems on the inside, meeting cadences, KPIs, et cetera, or client success. Like they can't onboard enough clients. And so we help people with that. And then for my personal stuff, just for fun, I love talking about personal systems as well. I'm a big like nerd around, I track a lot of things in my life, like my Aura ring. I've tracked everything for the last 8 years.
Damn, 8 years?
I have like a Google sheet that covers everything inside of it. So that's the other stuff that I talk about, but it's like personal. Like I have an executive assistant. She books my dinner reservations with my friends. Every week we do a different dinner with my friends.
Mhm.
I have a house manager that like charges my toothbrush. So like
What?
yeah, I go like way extreme on. But that's like that's the cool thing about me being me is my company's name is Skeleton Systems. So I just
Yeah,
get to take everything to the absolute extreme,
that is
and
funny.
there's a lot of benefits to it. I
Yeah.
actually enjoy it.
If you want my help installing any of these systems in your business done for you, be sure to book a call with my team down below.